When I sold our house in 2017, at that moment it was around 120 bitcoins. I will be able to buy that house back now with around 4 bitcoins. Because we have a family, I have kids as well. My kids and wife are different than me. We have this discussion every day. My wife is like, why don't we just take like 1% and just buy one house somewhere? And I'm like, I am just not there yet. I just don't want it. I just don't need it. My wife and kids, they love it to stay in beautiful houses. But even they are still like, we love Thailand, but we also love, the winters in a ski area.
Welcome to the Fruiting Body Podcast with your host, Brendan. Today we have an absolute legend of a guest making his first appearance on our podcast here in Phuket, Thailand. This is Didi from the Bitcoin family. I've been following him for a long time on Instagram. He's down the line. He's telling you how it is in terms of what essentially is a Bitcoin maxi, but he gets a little bit more detailed from his days of mining and essentially selling his whole life to escape freedom. And that's what Bitcoin is. It represents freedom. So we're going to let him do the talking today, and we're going to try to understand his philosophy. Why has he come out all the way to Thailand, traveling the world and living this more nomadic lifestyle with his entire family? So without further ado, let's get this podcast started with Didi. Okay. Well, first, thanks for joining us today. It's what time? It's 10:30 in the morning. Yeah. I reached out. We have a mutual friend, Justin Balu, as well. I think he's doing some black box stuff. He's over in Indonesia. First, for all our viewers out there that might not be familiar with your story, can you just explain how did this all come together initially, even getting into Bitcoin?
Even getting into Bitcoin, that's a very long story. It all started in 2013. I had a IT company in the Netherlands, and at that moment, I got a guy from a school that needed to do like this subject in my company, and I'm like, yeah, what do you want to do? I'm too busy. I don't have time for you. He's like, you have a computer shop, and I want to build a Bitcoin miner. I'm like, what are you going to build a Bitcoin miner? I want to prove that we can make money with electricity. I didn't know what Bitcoin was by that time. So I was like, okay, whatever it is that you want to do, just grab the stuff out of my shop and build whatever and I will give you a good grade for your assignment, and let's see. So he started to build the Bitcoin miner. I started to Google in the evening, what is Bitcoin? What is Bitcoin doing? Of course, I ended up in Silk Road at that time. That really interested me. I was like, wow, I can buy all kinds of cool stuff with Bitcoin. And then I started to read the white paper. I really took the time because I need to do this presentation on the school with this guy. And then I started to understand, wow, this is like the internet boom that I really missed. I missed investing in Google or Amazon and all the problems. And maybe I should do something with this. And then it took 2 weeks, and this miner was up and running, and the guy says, yes, we earned some Bitcoin, the case is proven, I made money with electricity. And I'm like, what? So I went looking to his miner, and he hooked it up to a pool. At that time, you could hook up to pools, and he was mining with a group of people. And I was like, so how much did we make? Yeah, it's not a lot, but it's like a part of the 50 Bitcoins. At that time, it was still 50 blocks. And I said, so do you think Bitcoin goes up in value? And he's like, yeah, it will probably go to $100 or something in the future, maybe even $500 or $1,000. So we were okay. So if we mine like a lot of these Bitcoins, it would be. So start building more. So I invested $40,000 in that time in Bitcoin mining equipment. So this guy started just to build one whole office full with the mining equipment. And that's how the first part of the Bitcoin adventure started. Of course, with all the problems, the heating and all the shit. But in the Netherlands, we had luck. We had a lot of weed growers, so all the weed growers, they know how to handle the heat. so they built these machines that blew the heat from the room into the company. So the company was heated by the miners of the bit. So it was really this first adventure for me in Bitcoin. And in 2014, at the end of the year, my father called me and he told me he was sick. He had cancer. He was diagnosed with cancer. He had only 1 more year to live. So that is when I started to rethink life a little bit, and I lost track of the Bitcoin industry. I just said to the guys, run the company. I went living home with my father again and everything. The last year, you just do everything for the last time. You go the last time, Easter, Christmas, watch football together, all the stuff. We just went living back home again. And when he passed away in 2016, January, I need to take care of the funeral and all that stuff. And that moment, it took 3-4 months. I had a huge burnout, like a huge burnout. I couldn't do anything anymore, and I had to run that company. I also had an online casino in Malta, so there was a shitload of employees depending on me, and I just didn't have the power to give them the attention that they deserved. And so I hired managers, and I told my wife there is only one solution. The solution is I need to mentally, physically reset. I really need something else. My first backpacking tour in 2001 was to Thailand. So we knew Thailand, and I told her we are going to go back to Thailand, just to the island, and we're just going to go to Koh Samui, start 3 months on the beach. I will be fine again.
Did you have your kids at this point yet?
At that point, we had 3 kids already. Yeah.
But they must have been babies almost.
The youngest one was 4, and the second one was 6, and the oldest one was 9 at that moment. Yeah. So they all were going to school, but we don't believe in the school system as the Bitcoin family. Let's say it like this. At that moment, we just decided let's go for a 3-month trip, and that was in 2016.
Okay.
And that is by now we are traveling for more than 8 years, and it wasn't until 2016 that we were in Bali that my friends called me and they were like, Didi, do you still own those Bitcoins? And do you remember that you were also mining Dogecoin? I said, yeah, I know, we mined 26 million Dogecoin or something, because we all believed that would go to $1. That was like at that moment the first meme coin. This one will go to $1. And so that was like February 2016, and I told my wife, I'm happy. First time in my life, I'm really happy. I like this life. I don't have fancy cars. I don't have a company. I don't have employees. Don't have a big house. Don't have a holiday house. I have 5 backpacks. I have you. I have my 3 kids. I'm playing on the beach like a little child. I'm happy. This is my happiness. I don't want to change back. And my wife was like, I don't believe you. You're too materialistic, because I came from a very materialistic, egoistic phase in my life. When you lose your mother, your father, you turn completely angry against the world, and you just run companies out of greed, money. And at that time, I just realized this is way more happiness. So what do? I told my wife, we drank some Bacardi Coke, she some Mai Tai, and we were like, why don't we just support this Bitcoin revolution that I already believed in? I lost track of it, but the prices are going up, the community is growing. This could really turn into this revolution that we believed in, the one that is going to kill the central banks, kill the centralized government systems that we don't believe in anymore. And she's like, I don't know, I don't trust you, I don't believe that you really believe in these machines again. So I started to sell my motorbike, my cars, everything online when I was in Bali, 2016. Bitcoin was at that moment like $400, $500. So started to buy Bitcoin at those prices. All the cars were sold. And she was like, you're really selling your Jeep Cherokee, your Cabrio? I was like, yeah, I'm done. I don't want any materialistic lifestyle anymore. I was reading books about minimalist lifestyles, watching documentaries, got sucked into that minimalist lifestyle. I was really happy. And she's like, okay, I believe you, let's do it. Let's set the house for sale. And I called the real estate agent. I said, sell my house, put Bitcoin on it. You can buy with Bitcoin. So that came into the news. We needed to fly back within 2 weeks to the Netherlands as the house was sold. The guy was a Bitcoiner, partly bought the house with Bitcoin, partly, of course, with dollars, because we had a mortgage and all that stuff.
You have to sign the contracts and
sign the contracts. And at that moment, we were homeless. We were like, shit. We still had the furniture, we had everything, so we started to sell all the furniture, the kids' toys, the bikes, the cars, whatever was left. They had like these own quad motorbikes, and we went living on a campsite. So
as you're selling, like whatever you are selling, are you immediately converting it into Bitcoin?
Everything into Bitcoin at that moment. At that moment, it was still a lucrative way to do it, because at that moment I already realized I don't want to have this capital. Like Bitcoin for me is a peaceful, anarchistic revolution against centralized entities. So at that time, for me, it was already clear, I don't want to buy this online and be able to be traced. And at that moment, there was still a website called localbitcoins.com where you could meet up people and just exchange Bitcoins for cash and cash for Bitcoin. So everything that we sold, the furniture, everything was in cash at that time. It was still legal to use cash as a legal tender. Now it's different, but so we bought a lot of Bitcoin that way. And then when the house was sold, we need to buy that with the bank, of course. So yeah, we went all in. And then after that, the savings, After that, the kids' savings. I had a huge fight with my wife about that because she didn't want to put in the kids' savings. She was like, we're not going to touch. I'm going to triple it. I was so confident. So we are going to triple it. So she didn't say yes, but I just pushed the button. So I put the kids' savings in. And then I think Bitcoin was at that time around 3K that I got a letter from my pension fund because I was an entrepreneur and you need to save your own pension fund in the Netherlands. It was not done by the government. And it said that my pension fund was like, I don't know, 60K or something like that, I think it was. And then it's like, can I buy this off? Can I collect the pension fund now? Yeah, 40% fine. And the rest you can have. It's okay, give it, I buy Bitcoin. And then we were all in. And then everything was all in. We lived on a campsite. People were calling us crazy. The whole world flew to us. We had like documentaries on German companies, United States, New York Times. Everything flew to that campsite. Like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? You're gambling the life of your kids and this and that. But we already decided we don't care about money anymore. I lost my mother. I lost my father. I was already a millionaire. I couldn't buy any doctor that saved him or cured him from cancer. I couldn't save my money. I realized the most important asset in life is time. I needed to stop spending that time in an office at 40 employees and not at my children and my wife. So I wanted to switch life. My wife loved that I was switching life. I was at home, finally came home. And that's how we changed life. And we just said, let's believe Bitcoin more than fiat shitcoins, fiat currencies. Most people call them euro and dollar. I call them shitcoins because they are printed out of thin air. They are not backed anymore by gold. And let's just trust this new evolution of technology, Bitcoin, and just continue this traveling lifestyle. And then my wife got really sick of all the attention. She was like, this is not normal anymore.
Because the media is showing up more organically. They're just hearing your story maybe by word of mouth, and they're finding...
It started with a local newspaper, local television show, then it went to the national Dutch television, then they came from Germany, they really came from Russia, Ukraine, they came flying from Australia. They just flew there for a couple of days to our campsite to see this, to make a video about it. I mean, we were like, what is happening, I love attention, let's be honest. I'm an attention seeker. I like it. I want to be a professional football player, not only for the money, but also for the attention. My wife is yoga zen. She's like, So at a certain moment, she was like, nah, this is not what I want. So okay, then we quit. We want happiness. We choose happiness. So we flew to Koh Phangan, back to our safe Thailand. We always felt safe in Thailand.
Well, this is still 2016.
This is 2017.
Okay.
So 2016 September.
So this is before the 20,000 top.
Yeah. September 2016, we flew back to Koh Phangan.
Okay.
And we were living there together with 40 German families that rented a resort. It was a digital nomad family group.
Which area on the island?
That was in Chaloklom.
So the north past...
The north, it's completely north.
What's it called? Zen Beach, north of this. I
Between Zen Beach and...
Like getting close to Bottleneck Beach, like kind of that area.
That corner. You could drive and hike to Bottleneck Beach from our resort. And we lived there with 40 German families because we didn't even know what digital nomad is. What is it? How do you treat kids? How do you educate kids? How do you do anything? We didn't bring them to school. So we went there to be educated, but then that turned into me educating all of those digital nomads about Bitcoin, of course. And at a certain moment, we went into a pizzeria. I will never forget. And we were like really enjoying our calm, normal life. And then this Russian guy came to me with a telephone with my picture. And he's like, is this you? This Russian voice. Yes, that's me. You're the Bitcoin king. Can I make a selfie? So I'm like, what? A selfie. So he makes a selfie. My kids start laughing. My wife start laughing. We go back to dinner. It's like, this is crazy, a selfie. And then this guy was connected to Arte, which was one of the biggest documentary makers from Germany and France. So it took 3 days. They called us. Can we come there and fly there, film you? How are you living all in Bitcoin? And that's when my wife and I decided, let's just, what we do? Let's just use this brand. They call us the Bitcoin family. We become the Bitcoin family. And we just use this brand to make money and to save poor people all over the world.
And to buy more Bitcoin. Are you really monetizing it at that point?
At that moment, we were not monetizing it. We were just trusting it. We were not trading it. We were not doing all of that stuff anymore because trading, man, I was trading. I got like 10 kilos on and I was white and it was like unhealthy. So that was not my thing. Yeah. So at that moment, we were not monetizing anything. We started to travel. We had a blog. It's called YOLOFamilyTravel.com, and that you only live once because we lost the kids lost their grandparents, we lost the parents, so we just want to show the family in the Netherlands what we were doing.
So the motivation was you wanted to educate the world on what this was.
When it switched, yes. Then we said just yes. They want us to be the Bitcoin family. If we say no, they keep following us. We already saw a lot of documentaries about say yes to all the adventure in life, and then your life changes. And that's what we did. And then we started saying yes, and a documentary was filmed. They came 5 days. They went live in Germany and France. Was the best watched documentary ever of that platform. And then we were the Bitcoin family, and then the whole adventure just still needed to start. That was 2017.
Yeah,
so from that moment,
it still hasn't been the euphoria hasn't even begun on the price of Bitcoin. At this point, it's still not 20,000.
No, at this point it was 3K, went to 6K, came back to 4K, was almost going to 9K. People were telling us, it's gonna crash, it's a bubble, it's this, it's that, and we were like, we don't care. We lost completely the importance of money. We really didn't. We like people tell us like it is a risk. It is not a risk if you don't give a shit about money anymore. It's just trying a new lifestyle. At that moment, we were traveling with around $30,000 a year with the whole family. We didn't spend more than 3K a month. We could live very simple in a beautiful $700 house in Koh Phangan on the beach. We ate Thai food. Like, it was so cheap. So we didn't care about the hundred thousands or million of dollars in Bitcoin that was there because we didn't need them. So we lost completely the importance of money. We turned really maybe even too minimalistic at a certain moment. You can also see this in this art documentary. We had a blender and we had a cooking plate with two things. It's the only thing we had. We lived in the...
And this obviously changed over time. You're not living this way currently.
No, we changed, of course, because the kids grew up and... they required their own bedrooms and everything. We were always sleeping in one like backpacker bungalow at that time. And then we just started to monetize the brand, and I went back in the affiliate system because I had online casinos, so I knew what affiliate meant. And then I saw the exchanges growing in Bitcoin. I'm like, wow, so people really are sending money to exchanges that are not known. The owners are known, nothing is known, and still they send thousands of dollars there.
Essentially a gambling website.
Essentially, at that moment, it was like gambling websites. And I was like, okay, let's just monetize this. Let's make affiliate links. Let's start to invest in these exchanges. And that's what we did. And then the Bitcoin family brand started growing. Yeah, it's a very long story. But by now, we even have our own Amazon Prime series. Yep. It went live in the Netherlands. It's now going live internationally. And the Bitcoin family brand... Yeah, we are still minimalist in the core of we don't own houses, we don't own cars, we don't own nothing of value, but we are filthy rich because of Bitcoin.
Well, I think at a certain point you would need a large enough Bitcoin bag to be able to, let's say, convert into fiat and be able to rent at that level to still live a certain lifestyle. So other people may be listening to this like, I get too many people messaging me like, okay, I got $500. How much am I going to make? And when do I buy out? I'm like, no. This is the completely wrong question. So I think to live that lifestyle, there's still a certain amount that you're going to need to completely disconnect from, taking on any other further work.
No, it's not like that. It's not only the amount. It's like, I think it can be done with way less than people think it is. It is the mindset. So... most people that are in this industry, in this crypto industry, they are in it to make money and to put that money again in the bank accounts. So they don't understand the true fundamental of Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is fighting the centralized banks, it's fighting the centralized entities that are putting inflation on you, that are keeping you poor. That's essentially the core task of the government and the central banks. Keep you poor. You need to be running the hamster wheel. So Bitcoin is going exactly against that. So the mindset of people is, I trade and I make US dollar or euro. That's stupid. That's like the most retarded thing I've ever heard. We are all in Bitcoin. We don't have bank accounts already. For 7 years, we travel unbanked. All in Bitcoin means our core capital is Bitcoin. If we need Thai baht, we switch a little bit to Thai baht. And if we have Thai bahts left, bam, back to Bitcoin. Just like people, like if you're from America, you had dollars, you went to Europe or Germany, you needed Deutsche Marke. Yeah, you exchange your dollars for Deutsche Marke as they needed that in Germany, or Spanish peseta in Spain, or Mexican pesos in Mexico. But when you went back to the America, you switch that again back to US dollars. That is how we treat Bitcoin. That is our core capital. Yes, it goes up and down, but in the long term, every 4 years it goes up, and every 4 years the bottom is higher and the top is higher. So if you can just see through the volatility, you don't have any need of exchanging Bitcoins to fiat currencies anymore. Because we are all, volatility of currencies has always been there. Like when I was young, I went to Spain. I got like for $10, I got 1,000 pesetas. The next year I get 1,600 pesetas. The next year 1,200 pesetas. There's always been volatility for us.
Yeah, but people don't understand inflation. It's a very complicated conversation. I mean, it's very easy what it is. They print money, therefore your dollar's worth less. That's it. You kind of follow this Jack Mahler approach, and I do as well, where I use my credit cards for everything. I don't have cash, and then I pay them off with swap Bitcoin at the end of the month. So I'm actually shorting the fiat every month, and then doing a dollar cost average. And I try to explain this to people, and they're like, "Yeah, but I need $5,000 this month." I'm like, if you use that strategy for 10 years, you're making money. They don't understand. It's very difficult to explain to people this whole dollar cost average in and out strategy, and they look at it. People are still stuck looking at Bitcoin as the next gold or the property, and essentially, Bitcoin is Bitcoin. It's there's nothing else like it. It is your escape from the fiat currency system. That's exactly how I tend to look at it as well.
I think it is the gateway to freedom.
Yes,
but that's for everyone different. So I try just to educate as much as possible to people about this, and that's what what we still do as the Bitcoin family. Because I shouldn't be working that much anymore, because I should focus more on other stuff. But I think at the moment I'm still young enough to focus on this supporting this peaceful revolution, and then at the end there will be time again for me to.
I think on the flip side, we won't even go down the Peter Schiff road. Playing devil's advocate, I've always had one concern for Bitcoin, and I think we always see this video out there, who is Satoshi Nakamoto? Yeah. And then you see when they reverse engineer the name in Japanese to essentially centralized intelligence. Yeah. I lived in China 6 years, so I can verify actually the characters mean that. Do you think he did that as like an Easter egg spoof on the Central Intelligence Agency? Or is there any chance the NSA is behind this and it's the biggest... when essentially, I don't believe we went to the moon. That was just to bankrupt the Russians. Is this something similar to that on another level?
It could be similar to that on another level. I still believe Satoshi Nakamoto was just a group of
I agree.
Punks, crypto punks, but there was one guy in between that group that definitely had connections to the government, that also took the technology from that certain place of the government, I think, to improve the white paper and even the technology of the blockchain as we know it now. If you look at it at a very big scale, what is happening now, you could say, like, either it was a group of punks that tried to save the world, all good, they don't have control on Bitcoin anymore, and Bitcoin is now from the people, or it was indeed the government. And if you look on how everything is unfolding at the moment, it would have been the best strategical chess play ever by any government, which would mean if the United States government would be behind it, I truly understand why now I see, for example, the possibility of Elon Musk getting involved in the United States dumping all their physical gold, by that devaluating all the gold worldwide, by that making all other countries poor, and already embracing the new digital gold of the 21st century, Bitcoin, by that become the biggest country and when it comes to financial economy again. So that would be like a chess made.
But based on the history of the government, are they that smart?
That would be very smart, and it would also be, look, let's be honest, if they are not at all involved, would we really think that the governments are that stupid to allow it? Like, the only fact already that in 2017 MicroStrategy was allowed to put their reserve capital in Bitcoin was, for me, the first sign that needed to be done by a lot of political decisions. As a company, a United States company, putting your reserve capital in Bitcoin, there is a lot of legal things that you need to be able to do that. So that was already controlled by the government. The government already said yes. They maybe said yes like this, like the Netherlands say yes like this to the weed business, but they said yes. And I think at that moment already everything was done. That's why my doubt about Bitcoin ever crashing to zero was already like gone from 98%. That was for me, okay, this is going way bigger than I ever thought it could go.
And do you think at this point, like the genie's out of the lamp in the sense that even if the government was in control, the amount of, let's say, distribution of wealth of these Bitcoin wallets is so diverse that even if a Satoshi wallet dumped, it would only affect the entire market temporarily?
Yeah, of course. Like Satoshi's wallet is less than the total amount of spot ETFs.
Yes,
they have more. They have 1.2 million Bitcoin, so they can crash the market as well. But I don't think like crashing the market is so 2014, 17 talk. Like people don't want to crash the market, mate. People, the investors, countries, presidents are going to embrace this as the digital gold of the 21st century. They are going to use this to even make themselves richer, and that is the discussion why I don't like what is happening. I already made a video about this like 3 years ago when BlackRock started to talk about Bitcoin. I said, this is wrong. This is wrong. And then I saw all the influencers just pushing Bitcoin because of the monetary value and becoming Lambo mentality, guys. And I said, this is wrong. This is going to give our Bitcoin, which is the tool for peaceful anarchy, because I'm going to go deeper in it if you want. But for me, Bitcoin is just a tool to create peaceful anarchy. The blockchain technology allows peaceful anarchy to exist. And we are giving away that tool now again, because we are selling our Bitcoins, the stupid as we are, the greedy as we are, to institutional investors who at the end will sell it to the governments. Same story with gold. Gold, a cowboy, driving the prairie, finding this Yellowstone, riding to his village. I found something very exclusive. It's $2 and it became $5. Everybody wanted to have it. They started gold mining. The gold went from the cowboys and the Indians to the banks because they told the cowboys and the Indians that you will rob each other, give it to us. They started to take the gold and the government started to confiscate the gold. At the end, nobody else had gold instead of your only your jewelry or in your iPhone. This is now happening to Bitcoin.
Do you think essentially like your Fidelities, your BlackRocks, your major wealth fund management companies could one day be holding 20 to 40% of the entire supply? And is that a good thing or a bad thing? As I would assume that this would also stabilize the vitality of the currency.
For me, it is a bad thing. It's a good thing for those people that want a stable currency and stable growth. It's a bad thing for the gateway to freedom. Like, just imagine a world where we don't live below the centralized operation of governments. Everything we do at the moment in our life is because we listen to a government, which is chosen sometimes, mostly not. But even if we choose the governments, they don't do what we vote for. We vote for a person because he promises stuff and then he gets into the government and he doesn't do shit. So there is no real democracy anymore. Now, if you look at peaceful anarchy, which a lot of people see as something very negative, and I see as something very positive, where people really get to decide what is happening in their community, in their country, without any intervenience of centralized entities, that was never possible because we only had an SQL or an Access database that was controlled by that same government. And if you put a question in it and we vote on that question, somebody could even change that data.
Well, whoever has the most voting power can. I mean,
but not even the voting power. Just even the IT guy handling the database could even change it. And the blockchain is the first technology where we can't change the entries anymore. So if now we create a question, a proposal internationally where I can vote on, a person from Zimbabwe can vote on, the United States can vote on, New Zealand can vote on, the whole world can vote on this particular subject. Yeah, do we want to wear face masks? I don't know. Whatever it is. That is unchangeable on the Bitcoin blockchain. That is peaceful anarchistic lifestyle where we control again what happens in our lives. And that is now possible because of this Bitcoin and blockchain. That's why I have both tattoos. Bitcoin, blockchain, peaceful anarchy. This one is a tool.
But I think a lot of people don't understand that actually the Bitcoin network can be changed based on developer voting. Just for example,
Yep.
as you're probably quite aware, the whole concept of 12 and 24 word passwords did not exist till 2014. This was voted upon. So the issue at hand becomes, if the government controls 50%, they can start taking voting rights. What is our response as the Bitcoin anarchists, the peaceful anarchists? Do we just hard fork?
No, that's exactly what I say. That's exactly what I say. I think we are giving the power back now to those entities by giving or buying or hodling Bitcoins at banks or at BlackRock. You know, people need to also understand that BlackRock is not a company holding the Bitcoins. They hold the Bitcoins for their clients.
Coinbase is holding.
Um,
They say
yeah.
Coinbase is the custodial.
Coinbase is the custodial, but again, it's for the if the clients want to sell the Bitcoins, they just tell BlackRock sell, and they need to sell. BlackRock.
I think it's, to be honest, I think it's all manipulated and the price is suppressed, but that's a different conversation.
That's a different conversation, but whatever it is, we are giving away that beautiful tool that Satoshi Nakamoto gave us.
What do we do there? I mean,
So there is a lot of solutions. Like we already hard forked to Bitcoin Cash. You know, Roger Ver was one of the biggest supporters of that one. I started to understand more and more his view, because at that moment when he wanted to hard fork, he already understood if we don't do it, it will become digital gold and not digital cash, and that digital gold will go into the governments. This is what he already knew and why he started to support Bitcoin Cash. But aside of that, it's not that important anymore. Like, I am in Bitcoin because I prefer this above fiat currencies. Because Bitcoin is still more decentralized. The moment we go to 50% ownership by the government, I will be long gone from Bitcoin, and there will be something new that will decentralize the world. Like, people see, for example, now these meme coins as something funny and something that will pump their bags, blah, 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 blah. But people don't understand there is a huge community behind the meme coin that has the same mindset as the most Bitcoin mindset that was, like decentralizing the world. So whatever it is, Bitcoin woke up this new possibility of decentralizing the world and taking the power back to the people in a very peaceful, loving way. And if it is through meme coins or NFTs, or whatever other community it is, these communities will become way more important than countries. And that is what we see now. That's why like Liberland is one of the first free states that I am also a Liberlander. I have a Liberland passport and everything. Vit is a friend of mine, the president. The first example of how a community can even make a new country, put a flag on an island.
Where is this located?
This is between Slovenia and Serbia.
Okay.
So Liberland is the oldest one that also has a constitution and everything. So this is the first example how a community created a known country. Now we see seasteading. I think people will create own seasteads with their own currencies. I think people, and that's the most important message people need to understand from Bitcoin, is disconnecting money from the state. The moment we disconnect money from the state and we are able to use that money without the state's intervenence, we can create our own world, our own cities, our own towns. So I think that should be the shift. And if it is Bitcoin or any other currency in the future, because the control of Bitcoin went to the governments, we became filthy rich because of Bitcoin. If they want to take over, they take over. We will convert our wealth in the next opportunity that will decentralize the world. I think that's the most important part.
I'm assuming your belief in terms of investment in property, equities, stocks, bonds.
No.
You wouldn't do, correct?
Never. Zero.
Okay, so there's an interesting concept behind that. I also believe that. In theory, if we all believe that, how do we ever build a hotel again? So for example, you come to me and you say, "Hey, invest to build a hotel here in Boat Avenue. We're going to build a hotel together, and I need $10 million US, and we're bringing all these guys together." I go, "Okay, so we need permits. You've lost me here. Actually, how about my 10 million just goes to Bitcoin?" So when people all begin to understand this, how does the world grow? Because I would never put my money into anything today other than Bitcoin, because it's the best performing asset, and it will be the best performing asset for the next 20 years. So just to reiterate that question, how can this world ever grow again? Why would you put your cash into anything else?
Do you really believe that the world needs to grow or will grow? I don't believe that the world is growing anymore. I think we have an aging problem all over the world. Every country has too many old people. They will all die very soon. So I also see that we are not fucking enough anymore, so there's not many new children being born. So that decreases the population in a de factor that doesn't compare anymore to the balance how many real estate has been built. Look here on Phuket.
Yeah, it's over.
I've never seen so much real estate being built. This is going to be so much supply. The demand is not there. This is going to crash the whole market in Phuket when it comes to housing. So this is happening all over the world. In the Netherlands, they keep building. Everyone, they keep building. But old people are dying. No young children are being born because people can't afford kids anymore because of all the inflation the government threw on them. So we have less and less people, more and more construction. I don't think we have a problem in the future with all the construction anymore. Aside of that, there is also these, whatever you call it to your audience, pandemic or plandemics that still also delete a lot of people of the world. I don't think that real estate is a good investment. Aside of all of this, I believe in a different future. I believe that decentralizing the world means that not only 8 billion people can own Bitcoin, it's 1 trillion entities. Your iPhone can own Bitcoin, your dog can own Bitcoin, your fridge can own Bitcoin, your house can own Bitcoin, your car can own Bitcoin. Why would we still, if you look at the minimalistic lifestyle we are living, we don't own nothing? Why? Because we don't need to own nothing anymore. We can use everything that's already there. So in the future, I believe this house, the car, will be an own entity. We won't be the human beings, the powerful people that own a house or own a car. This house and car will breathe itself. It's an entity with a bank account called Bitcoin. If somebody enters the house, you scan it with your QR code, you pay the house. This is how the house makes money. If then the house needs a repair, it will send a message with all these chips nowadays in the furniture. They see there's damage. It sends a message to a carpenter. It pays in with the Bitcoins. So when this house becomes an own entity, we will become our own bank. That's what Bitcoin stands for. Be your own bank. I will be the one in the next phase of our lives lending this house the money to buy itself to become its own entity. So if you look at that, self-driving cars at the moment. Look, Tesla just had a video yesterday of the first car rolling over the factory. Wants to have 100,000 Teslas driving itself. These can all be own entities. They drive from A to B. If I use them, I pay them. They drive to C. People that use the car pay them. If the car needs to be repaired, it will go to a garage. It will be repaired by those robots, same Tesla robots, that will repair the car. The car will pay those robots. The robots will have their own bank account. Every entity will be able to exchange currency because of the Bitcoin blockchain nowadays. So in the far future, I don't even believe that we still see ownership as important. We see the usage as important.
How far away you're talking? But you're talking
20
probably,
years.
Yeah, 20 years.
Yeah.
I think.
So that's why I don't invest in real estate. Aging problem, not enough kids anymore. There is the demand is not going to be there for the supply.
Yeah, even this, like what we're doing is once we complete everything, I'm putting it on the market the next day, because I know that I'll be getting my timing's good to get out. It's okay. This is my stable coin, but now I have 3 years, 2 years to sell it so I can buy more Bitcoin. And that my hope is I maybe make 10, 20% off this thing, and I just have more fiat to buy more Bitcoin at a lower price, because I could see the bottom being whatever, 65, 70, whatever.
Yeah. That's a good option. You could also use your Bitcoin as a collateral to get a loan in dollars and just make more return of investment on those dollars again as staking. And then you buy back the dollars at the bottom without the stress of government's involvement in whatever it is when you buy a house in Thailand.
Trust me, I don't even want to buy this.
We didn't intend to make this Bitcoin YouTube podcast.
No, it's complicated as well. Like especially living in Thailand, it's different. Like if I lived in Canada, no question. I wouldn't live there anyways. It's a nightmare there. But living in Thailand, and the fact that my girlfriend's Thai, it kind of gives me one fortress of solitude. I believe. I understand you're different on that side, not own property. For me, at this age, I'm never leaving Thailand. In fact, I haven't left here in 6 years. Since I don't have the stab. I didn't get that. So at that point, when they looked at me and said, well, you need this to be able to exit, I go, I'm just never going to leave that. And because I didn't want to risk that. So I've never left for that reason. But living here, it's like own one home, have your family, have a good loving wife, and everything else you own should just only be Bitcoin. That's all I believe in. But just having this, I mean, the government could still take this from you any day it wants. You don't own anything. Do I think they'll do that? No, because the entire market would just collapse. But having it, again, in her name and controlling it that way, it keeps myself at least safe. And the only value it does add to us, it's we can rent this out, we can use that, we can Airbnb, we can travel around. I understand the right move. I know the right move. It's do not buy this, hold Bitcoin, and leverage your life off that. I know that's the right move.
But not for everyone. And I think it's like people need to diversify. Why take all the risk if you don't need to take the risk? And if you like Thailand as much as I like Thailand as well, then you don't need to worry about anything.
But if you took this home, if you took a chart and put Bitcoin/this home, home's going to zero.
Yeah, of course. Look,
I know that.
You know what it is? When I sold our house in 2017, at that moment it was around 120 Bitcoins. I will be able to buy that house back now with around 4 Bitcoins. So I sold for 120 Bitcoins, and now 8 years later, I'll be able to buy it back with 4 Bitcoins. That shows already that Bitcoin is, of course, outperforming gold, real estate. But then still, I can relate to what you're saying, as we have a family, you know. I have kids as well. My kids and wife are different than me. We have this discussion every day. My wife is like, why don't we just take like 1% and just buy one house somewhere? And, you know, and I'm like, I am just not there yet. I just don't want it. I just don't need it. My wife and kids, they love it to stay in beautiful houses. But even they still like, we love Thailand, but we also love, you know, the winters in the ski area.
You can't own in Thailand. This is the biggest conception that people have. I had this conversation with many people. They go, well, I own a house. Okay. Yeah.
You don't know anything.
Do you actually own it? They're like, well, I have a company that owns it. Okay, well, that Thai 51 shareholder has it. What do you have, 49?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you're a company that owns the home, yeah? Okay, well, where's your employees? Where's your salary? You're a company. Where's your revenue? Where's your social security?
Yeah.
I go, what happens in 10 years when you go to sell this thing and the government says to you, let me audit your company that owns that house? Yeah. You're fucked.
Nah, people think way too lightly.
I don't think
this.
That's why I don't own this house.
Yeah.
I go, no, she's Thai freehold.
Way more easy. Yeah.
I have no issue now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's very difficult in Thailand to be.
But
that's not only Thailand. I don't think you ever own a house anywhere. Even the Netherlands, which is one of the best economies of the world, you don't own the house. The house is owned by the bank, and it will take you 30 years to pay off that house. And whatever happens in between, you don't control at all. And we saw that during the whole pandemic. People were locked up in their houses. People couldn't decide to even leave their house. But what right? Why do you want to own it then if you don't have this decision rights about it anymore? You know. So for me, that I see if I would own a house, for me it would be like you see it would be an investment. It would be a stable coin. It would go in it, and maybe for the bear market, those 12 months, I would monetize the house, and then at the end sell it again for Bitcoin.
I think the timing's perfect for us. Otherwise, if it was the bear market now, I wouldn't even think about buying this thing. I'll talk about a couple other, before we wrap this up, the time goes fast. We try to keep it under an hour. A couple other controversial things about Bitcoin in the future. Right now, a hot topic is quantum computing and hacking the blockchain. This is, I don't know if you've all over X today. Yeah. It's been going around. What are your thoughts on that? Can the Bitcoin blockchain be hacked by quantum computing?
It's, again, such a stupid thought. Can the internet liberate all information? That was the same discussion in the 90s. Is the internet really able to change access to information all over the world? Are the people able to block this or scam this or hack this? At the end, quantum computing technically could hack Bitcoin, but I wrote an article about it, and I don't remember it completely well, but it would take around 70 years if it did 1,000 computers 24/7 per day calculating the blockchain. That for 17 years, I think, then it could hack it. But people seem to forget that the blockchain industry is always ahead of governments. If quantum computing is used by hackers, it's also used by Bitcoin blockchains. It's not only used by the good people, it's also used by the people that still want to revolutionize the world. You know, so it will be used on both sides. And so all the wallets, the whole blockchain will be running on quantum computer nodes. Who's going to hack a quantum computer node? Which quantum computer, single-owned quantum computer by a hacker or the government, because it needs to have a big house to own a quantum computer, single one hacking 1,000 other quantum computers worldwide running the blockchain. Which one is going to do that? It's impossible.
Plus the electricity, they're better off just buying the Bitcoin.
It's
The amount of electricity that computer would need to be using. I
Yeah,
mean, you're
but-
actually
but-
losing billions.
you're losing billions, but let's say that Plan B and many others are right, and MicroStrategy is right that we will go to 20 million or 12 million in 2040, and maybe then it will become a better bet on cost. But still, it's impossible. If quantum computer will be there, we will be mining as well on quantum computers. They will be protected to other quantum computers try to hack it. People always look at the negative sides and everything. The glass is half full or half empty. Yeah, you decide.
And can't the community just hard fork if it is hacked? Okay, we're going to the next one.
Of course, you have always 10 minutes to hard fork. It's 10 minutes, so it's that's always a possibility. But I don't think that the community. I think most of the Bitcoin community still has the OGs still have a really bad taste of the hard fork of Bitcoin Cash, and of course also about Bitcoin SV with the fake Satoshi. So I don't think the community is wants another hard fork. I think they really want to optimize. I think the bad thing that's happening now is that the community slowly starts to believe again in working together with governments. Is this good? Is this bad? Is El Salvador, is that good or is it bad? It's
I'm a very I never know what side to believe. I mean, I could go down the road. I'm pro Elon Musk, or am I? Is he out? Like, I get very confused by the narrative, because when you look at what the media shows you, what is their real best intentions? Because I do believe in a higher power. I do believe there is people out there with trillions that actually control it all. And even if a guy, I don't think they would even allow a guy like Elon Musk to get to his position without blocking that years ago. So that's where I get confused. I don't know the answer. All I know is you just got to kind of live your life.
exactly. So you focus.
Otherwise, you'll question it all day, and you're going to blow your brains out being some sort of conspiracy theorist. That's not the life to live.
No, especially not when you have a family. That's why I always say in my videos as well. It's very simple. You just you zoom out of the charts. You don't only get the prize. You zoom in at life. Enjoy every single minute of the day. Time is the most precious asset that we have. There is nothing more valuable as time. And whenever I ask the question to people, you get $1 billion today, but you die tomorrow. Would you accept $1 billion? Always the answer is no. I would rather live. So if you know that you live. Life is more important than that $1 billion. Why are you selling 160 hours of your fucking precious time for $3,000 a month to a boss? This is your most precious asset. The asset that is more valuable than Bitcoin, gold, dollars, whatever it is, and you're selling that for $3,000, 160 hours, because the government tells you that it's the best solution. That's how they keep you poor. So whenever you think about that and you think that time is the most important part, you just focus on time. You focus on enjoying whatever it is that I am really enjoying this podcast now, and I will really enjoy the ride back on my motorbike without a helmet in Thailand, feeling the gateway to freedom over here, and see my kids and go for breakfast. That's what life is about. The little things that people seem to forget because they are just forced to run the hamster wheel because of inflation.
But it's very difficult to put that ideology onto people already on the hamster wheel. They're running on it, and you're trying to show them this freedom. I know many people back home in Canada, and I believe the West is a sinking ship, which I came out to Asia when I was 23. Yep. I saw it. I saw the writing on the wall. I was working corporate. I said, this is mental. Who's climbing a corporate ladder? I left and found my way. But looking back at a lot of people, they get stuck into the system, and it's very difficult to escape. Now they have kids. They work for a government. They have a mortgage. What advice would you give to people that are stuck on that wheel? What can kick them in the ass just to take the leap and essentially try to escape the matrix?
I think the thing that I learned from the last 8 years of traveling is that it needs to start with baby steps, because the jump, the leap is too big for the most of the people. So what I always advise is start with 3 months. Just take 3 months vacation with your family, go and travel, experience that lifestyle, experience how far your Canadian dollar, US dollar gets you in Thailand or Indonesia. That's 5 times as far. You can spend less here than of course in Canada. And then you just experience if you're more happy or not. And if you're more happy, then just realize that lifestyle is possible for everyone. And I think people will slowly be forced into that lifestyle as well, because with with the whole mentality of a universal basic income, that's there for a reason. Because those governments, banks, they know that jobs won't exist anymore in 20 years' time. Everything will be done by artificial intelligence, robots. Our standard jobs will be gone. So you need to give them people some happiness in return. So give them a universal basic income. The people need to understand that they just need to stop selling that 1 hour to their boss for $5 while they can monetize that 1 hour to millions of people, customers worldwide by online business or whatever it is.
How does the guy that's, he's working a roofing job in Holland, he's got 2 kids, a mortgage, they're in school and living paycheck to paycheck. Even a baby step is challenging.
I think the difficult part for those people will only become more difficult, That's why I've been telling people over many years, you need to do it now or you will definitely be too late, because you can see that now 3 million, in the Netherlands have 18 million people. 3 million live down below the the poordom level, they call it or something?
The poverty level.
Poverty level, sorry. I'm not native English, sorry for that, guys. Stupid Dutchie. The poverty level. So this is the Netherlands. This is the top 10 countries in the world when it comes to economical growth. So this is only going to get worse. When I grew up, my mother could stay home, my father could work, one guy working could run a whole family. When I became older, my wife and I needed to work to grow up our family. When we will get a little bit more older, we will go into the American system where we need to have 3 jobs to be running a family. And at that moment, or when you lose somebody, then you start to realize and wake up, this is not the life that I should be living. It could be a real difficult life, because there is guys telling this story on podcast, showing this lifestyle. This could be possible, because else they won't show it. And then I think at the end, people will be forced into becoming digital nomads again. We were digital nomads all history, until that we built cities where there were jobs, and then people went living in cities because there were jobs. Jobs are being disconnected from cities again because of online working. We can become slowly and evolve to digital nomads again. And it will take years, but it will happen, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it is inevitable, but I think it does take a certain skill set as well and you have to put the work in to figure out what else you can do. Like I had everything that I'm doing online and whatnot. Yeah. I didn't just know it. I had to put the work in to figure it out. Yeah. I think a lot of people, they're just so overwhelmed with their day-to-day that they don't even have time to, people will message me and be like, hey, I'm going to come over. Can you teach me everything you know about Bitcoin? I go, you want to learn lesson 10 and you haven't even learned lesson 1 to 10. No. So I'm like, literally go online and type in what is Bitcoin. If you can't come back and explain that to me, we can't even go to lesson 2.
That's exactly my conclusion at the end. And, I've been making YouTube videos now for 5 years daily to educate people. It is a good educational platform, but not a structurized one. That's why I started my newest company. It's called Didi Bam Bam. It's in a cartoonish way. We wrote 5 children's books by now. So people can read a book to their kids about Didi Bam Bam, which is a baby cartoon that evolves to a teenager and discovers the world of freedom and Bitcoin and educates them financially, and that goes into a whole course system. Because I also realized, how many videos I make, how many presentations I do, how many one-to-one calls I do. People just don't understand it. And then I also realized, that's exactly the same lesson I always told people about my kids. I can go send kids to school where they will be told about an elephant, and where they were told about a crocodile or a monkey. My kids will never know that because of a book. They know it because I brought them to Thailand. They know it because they washed an elephant, they touched an elephant, they cleaned the shit. They know how strong it is. And that's the same with Bitcoin. You can read books, you can follow courses, you can watch YouTube. You need to buy it and start to dig into it and start to use it. And that's when you start to learn.
Yeah, everyone that contacts me, I just said, okay, go set up, use your Coinbase. I know it's not getting new exchanges, but just do your first transaction. Start to learn it, and you'll go down the rabbit hole. I was going to bring that up as we wrap up the podcast. You did launch your coin, Didi Bam Bam.
Yep.
You also have a Discord, and can you explain a little bit about if people that want to get involved in your community? What are the tokenomics that represent the coin? Yep. What is involved in your community? What are you building?
So I really doubted really hard about launching that coin, because you directly get this stamp of being a scammer. But then again, I also realized, to be building a decentralized autonomous educational platform, you need some kinds of investment. but also some kinds of involvement of the community. And the only way to get them involved is by having them do investments, and they will be able, by doing that investment, to run the show. Of course, we are building up everything now with a team of 7 people, but we all don't have any tokens. We all don't get any salaries. We just want to create a decentralized, run, community-driven platform.
What blockchain is it run off of?
It's run on Ethereum at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, and we did have conversations also with the base blockchain, etc. But we wanted to run on the Bitcoin blockchain, but it's still too difficult for people to understand how to buy stuff on the Bitcoin blockchain and
With
all that.
ordinals
It's
and
difficult. And then I realized I held back all these years because I didn't want to become this Didi Bitcoin OG scammer. And then I realized, wait, I'm just a human being that makes a shitload of profits with Bitcoin, but that should be allowed to invest that money that he makes in something new. All the Bitcoiners and all the YouTubers that take that money out of Bitcoin and invest it in real estate or in fiat currencies or in other stuff, those are the shitcoiners that are investing in something their normal values tells them not to do. I am taking my money and I'm investing it in a decentralized learning platform in the crypto space. And I'm going to give this away. I added liquidity. This is all going to be for the community. And it's just because I realized people really need to be educated from the beginning. I want children to open a Bitcoin wallet before they ever open a bank account. That's the only step we missed with this industry. That is how the bank caught us. My dad brought me to the bank. I got this piggy bank where you could put in these coins. I was happy. I got a card. I could buy my first chewing gum, my first Nikes. I was proud. I was 12 years old. We skipped that whole age gap with the industry of Bitcoin because we only focus on 18 plus. My kids even couldn't have Bitcoin debit cards because they were not 18 years old. So I had the first company in Spain. I educated them and they created the first debit card in 14 years old kids, BitNovo. And from that now I understood, wow, I need to really pay attention to this. We need to get those kids on board early. I will create a decentralized educational platform that will start with children books, go into baby courses, what is Bitcoin, very simple stuff, then teenager, then adult courses, and just educate people on the thing that got my passion the last couple of years. And because there will be a moment I will also pull back from this industry. I'm not going to keep making YouTube videos every day. There will be a moment I want to leave something behind of value. I think that is what Didi Bam Bam is, and we created a token for that. It's a Didi Bam token, 20 million tokens, just same tokenomics like Bitcoin. Fair launch. There was no pre-seed sales.
No pre-sales.
Nothing. Was just fair launch on Uniswap. A lot of exchanges want to list us, even tier 1 centralized exchanges. At the moment, we are saying no, because we believe in decentralization, and we want people to be also possible to be buying token anonymous.
Is it still decentralized, even being like on an Ethereum blockchain?
Is it centralized? No, the blockchain technology is centralized, but it's decentralized in the way that you can own
a smart contract.
That you can own Didi Bam Bam without people knowing that it's you, that you own it, own it.
Did you consider using like a Solana before as well?
Yeah, we considered Solana, but Solana for me is a very good token when it comes to the community, but it's the worst blockchain I've seen in years.
Yeah, the security is
6 outages in 2 years' time is not something I want to build on.
Everyone's building. I mean, that's the toss-up. Ethereum, it's secure, it's slow. Solana, it's fast, it's cheap, it's
base will
terrible
be a
security.
big
Yeah.
winner.
I think the answer for me is, when will there be a day when we have a stable coin on the Bitcoin blockchain where I can just swap my Bitcoin into a Bitcoin stable coin on the one ecosystem? Can that eventually come?
I think there is a company building this. I think they want to call it USDH. I think I read an article on one of the news websites about this one. So yes, I do believe we will be able to cash out to a Bitcoin stablecoin at the end of this bull market already, so 2025. But I don't believe a lot of people will trust it by then. But I would do it. I would do it. I always diversify into different stablecoins. I also used DAI, but now that DAI was switching names and doing all kinds of...
Don't you have... I've heard a lot on I more or less follow more on the Instagram side. Yeah. It's quick, it's fast. And you talk about going into Tether or USDC Circle. Doesn't that scare you because they have the ability to lock wallets?
They do have the ability to lock wallets, so it's a scary 12 months because I only do this in the bear market.
Yes.
That's why I just ask you the same question. That's why I'm looking into using my Bitcoins as a collateral now. For example, on the Aave blockchain, which is completely decentralized and where I don't have any centralized authority that can block my or lock.
They are completely if you connect.
Yes.
So you can connect your Bitcoin wallet, lend your Bitcoin at like a 10% APR.
Yeah, something like that.
And there's no central controller to block anything.
Zero. Yeah.
Interesting.
Aave protocol. Yeah.
I know AAV.
AAV. Yeah, and so that's a thought that I have. Other people tell me, Didi, man, you should just short Bitcoin, but it goes against my norms and values. I don't know. I'm a pussy when it comes to investing and trading at that moment. I'm just not a shorter. And I know the trend is your friend. In the bear market, you can easily short Bitcoin with a low leverage of 2x or 1x and probably make a shitload of profit out of that. But I don't want to sell my BuyX on the community, so I will prefer to do it as a collateral or into a stable coin and then diversify between USDT, USDC, maybe DAI, maybe a Bitcoin stable coin.
Yeah, that's where I get lost.
Maybe I should listen to you and just buy a house in Thailand, which I don't own, but maybe you can use it for 12 months as a stable coin.
That's the thing. That's but the problem in Thailand, because we sold the condo, say it's worth 20 million, right?
Yeah.
You're not getting 20. My point is, okay, the valuation is 20 million. This market is going to get so saturated that you'll be lucky to get 17.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you lose to lawyers and commission. So you will end up with 15 and a half. So you're going to lose 4.5.
Oh, fuck. Not doing it.
for sure. That's because that's the reality of ours. Like we had a condo in Bangkok. It was worth value 16.
Yeah.
We ended up with 12 and a half.
Yeah.
But she was like, no, don't do it. I go, no. Because this was when Bitcoin was like 50, 55. Yeah. I said, I think it's going to 100K before December. She's like, no, be careful. Anyways, that's how Trump come in. We took it all and popped it in. So we made the right move, but to be able to use a real estate as a stable coin with lawyer fees, commissions, and you're never going to get market value.
There is another option in Singapore. There's a company where you can convert your Bitcoins into gold and gold into Bitcoin, and they store your Bitcoins physically there in your safe with cameras, so you can even see everything and visit the company. And Singapore is one of the only countries in the world where gold has also 0% tax. So many solutions, but
I've had this conversation. I thought about this as well. Basically, taking all the Bitcoin, putting it onto cold storage, going to a crypto facility, let's say around Thailand.
Yeah.
Now I'm decentralized. Literally giving them, and it could take 2 months. Getting cash, building up a cash position, as in a Thai bot cash position, walking into a gold shop with a pile of cash, taking gold bars, and going putting them in safe somewhere.
Yeah.
I think gold isn't a bad play as a stable coin upon exit, physical gold, because I don't think anything's going to, maybe you lose 10%, but if you are holding Bitcoin in a bear market, you're probably losing 60 to 70.
Yeah,
so what's the answer? I still don't know.
I think 60% is definitely going to be the next crash.
Okay, before we wrap it up, we'll jump back and just get your thoughts, because we can always come back to this later in maybe in September and take a look at it. Your thoughts on price prediction. Is as you're saying, is the bull market top in September, or are we in a super cycle because of the ETFs?
Nah, there's always something that drives Bitcoin higher than normally. Now this time it's the ETFs, but also the ETFs is run by BlackRock or any other ETF company, but it's people that have emotions and that have capital invested and then want to take profit, and they are going to take profit. So for me, the Bitcoin bull market top is always 16, 17, 18 months after the halving. It always has been, it always will be. That would put us to September-ish, August, September, October-ish next year. Depending if we have a double top, like last bull market we had a two-top bull market top, which means the first top would be in March, the second top would then be in September.
More like a dead cat bounce.
It's a distribution top. For me, the bull market is not ending in 2024. I believe it's ending in 2025. I believe we will have a massive dip in January. Like always, it's mostly running up during Christmas. January mostly, if you look at the last 10 years, of those 10 years, I think 8 years, we dipped after the 7th of January. This is very strange.
My prediction is January 10th.
Yeah.
Purely based on, I think it's institutions are going to, retail's not here. I don't think retail's here yet. Heavy retail.
I
think it's institutional ETFs doing end of the year finances. We are going to see. I wouldn't be surprised if we see like between the realized price, like Plan B is calling 62, 65, maybe it's a big range, 65 to 85.
I think that's the new bottom, you know. I think the new bottom will be in 2026-7 will be around 60K, maybe a week to 58K. So what I tell a lot of people at the moment is very simple. If you can't handle the stress, because the next 12 months is going to be very stressful. Already this dip yesterday and the day before, like the 10K dip, my DMs are exploding and people freaking out. So I just tell people, if you can't handle that, sell your Bitcoins now. Go all out. 100K, that was your goal. Sell it. You will be able to be buying it back in 2 years' time for 60K. 2 years' time, no stress, no volatility, no nothing, no even watching the Bitcoin charts. You will miss the bull market top, you will miss the bear market, but you will be there to buy it back, and with almost like 40% discount, you're done. Yeah, simple. But most people want to catch the top.
I had a friend. I had a friend messaging me. A couple of them do, and they see the crash 10%. It does. I've been in it now, where like I've been through it. It's like, this is nothing. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's expected.
It should be.
It's expected.
It would be terrible if it doesn't.
But then I give if I'm pissed off, I give the wrong message. He's like, should I sell? I'm like, yeah, sell everything. Get it. I'm like, yeah, for sure. Just, you're done. But the reality is, like, what I think it is right now, what's going on, we saw 104 to 90. This is short and long leverage liquidation. This is what that is. So the big whales, they're snipers. They see your buddy Jimmy show up and do a 20x long leverage with his last 10K, and they go, okay, let's look at glass nodes. Okay, we're going to snipe here, we're going to snipe here, and they're just wiping leverage out left, right, and center. That's what these moves are. That's what I think.
Yeah, it's not only the big whales, it's also the exchanges.
Yes, they know how to do it.
That's how they make money. That's like... that's why I never advise people to do these high leverage trades. But people just are greedy and want to become rich overnight. That time is gone. You know, it's like diversify your portfolio. Have the biggest part in Bitcoin, maybe a smaller part, like 15% in layer one projects that you really believe that already survived 1 or 2 bull cycles, and then maybe 5% or 10% in these gamble meme tokens that go maybe times 1,000. But you need to be willing to lose that 5% because that's a big bet.
I tell people it's like the horse races. If I know the winner's Bitcoin at the horse race, why am I betting on these other ponies? What is the point?
Because the other ones give you a return of 25x or 50x or 100x.
But that's the chances of losing it.
Yeah.
Okay, just before we wrap it up, I'm going to shoot it over to this big camera lens to you. And we're going to put links down in the description to allow people to connect to you. If you can let people know, we'll put links to your Discord and whatnot.
Yep.
Okay. Just let everyone know if they want to follow your content both on Instagram and YouTube, how can they reach out to you and this camera here?
It's very simple, guys. You just Google the Bitcoin family, or you go to thebitcoinfamily.com and you will find all the links, all the data, everything over there. Also the links to the Didi Bam Bam community where you can be educated. Or to our Instagram or YouTube channel where I make YouTube videos every day. Just go to thebitcoinfamily.com and you will find everything.
Okay, that wraps up another episode of the Fruiting Body podcast. Big shout out and thanks to Didi for coming on. I'm sure if he's around, this won't be his last time. Let's hope.
Because we didn't intend to go into a Bitcoin podcast. You said we are going to go.
And then it just takes off. Okay.
Next time.
Any questions for him? Leave it in the comments. Any thoughts on Bitcoin price? What you think? And if you're watching Peter Schiff, fuck off. All right, we're out.
Peter shit.